Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the LOITalk podcast. I'm your host, John O'Gallagher, today, and I am absolutely honoured to be joined by three very special guests. We've got Robbie Connell from Trim AFC, who are currently looking to join the LOI third division that's coming in, which is absolutely amazing. We're really looking forward to chat to Robbie about their plans. We've also got the two boys from EverythingPats and Everything LOI, Andrew Lanigan and Everything LOI. Lads, gents, it's an absolute pleasure to have you as well. So I'll just start with Andrew and Everything LOI. How are you keeping, lads? Andrew's second time on the pad, so welcome in.
Cheers, yeah. All good, John. Thanks for having us on. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to talking League of Ireland and specifically Pats as well. So yeah, should be a good episode.
Yeah, pretty much. Thanks for having us on, John. Of course, probably not the best time to be talking about Pats at the moment. We're not exactly doing the greatest at the moment, but there is, of course, plenty to be talking about the League of Ireland in terms of the transfer window opening up. So it is definitely an interesting time with Europe and the Cup coming up as well.
Absolutely. That's it. And our very special guest, Robbie Connell. Robbie, how's it going?
I'm great, John. Thanks for the opportunity to showcase Trim Celtic. It's great to be able to put out and let people know why we're interested in joining the League of Ireland and the ambitions of Trim Celtic going forward.
Fantastic, Robbie. Thank you so much. So we'll just get straight into the questions there. So, Robbie, for you. For those who may not know about Trim Celtic, can you tell us a little bit about the club?
Yeah, Trim Celtic in its current format, we were founded in 1967. Our home grounds are Tully Park in Trim. Obviously, we have two grass pitches, a clubhouse, and a lot of other buildings that we use. We have a club shop as well. At present, we're affiliated to the NERL, which is the Northeastern Regional League for our underage teams, and for the senior teams, it's the Northeast Football League. And on the senior end, we have three senior teams. We have two men's teams and one women's team. And I suppose probably the one thing that we're kind of that gives us immense pride is that we have a pathway for both women and men from the ages of 4 to senior level. And we're probably unique in that we have, like, from the ages of 4, we have a nursery, and possibly from 70 to 100 kids are in that nursery every week. So, there's a huge community effort. We have approximately 40 teams, made up probably with the percentage of 70% male and 30% female. I think that's a little bit higher than the normal percentage, but another thing that we work on as well. So that's probably in a nutshell what Trim Celtic is.
Very good, Robbie. That's brilliant. So the next question is, what made Trim Celtic apply for the third tier that's supposed to be coming in 2026?
Now, this might sound a little bit kind of corporate or not, like, but in fairness, it's exactly why it is. Like, I mean, we applied for the tier 3, and it stems from a combination.
Sorry, Robbie, did you catch that?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, can you hear me, John?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Perfect. I can hear you now. Apologies, my internet must have been off there for a minute, but no, I can hear you now. Thank you.
That's all right. Well, probably in the sense that this will sound a little bit corporate, but it is exactly the reason. Like, when we've seen the expressions of interest, and in the last 5 or 6 years, we've been looking to expand, and especially on the senior end. So it kind of stems from a combination of ambition, strategic growth, and when we see in this tier 3 application, it shows that we have an evolving structure of Irish football that's coming in place. Probably some of the reasons that would have influenced our decision is that first and foremost would be that the FAI are introducing a tier 3, which bridges the gap between grassroots football and semi-professional professional football in the League of Ireland. What we would hope we would be able to do is that we would be able to attract higher quality players, probably secure better and more secure funding and sponsorship, improve our coaching standards, which at the moment we think are very high. And another main point would be is that we could provide a clearer pathway for youths to progress. We see a huge drain of football and talent going to League of Ireland academies and to League of Ireland clubs. We want to stem that. We don't want them going to the likes of St. Pat's. We want them coming to the likes of Trim Celtic. Sorry, lads. So I suppose another one of the issues would be is that Meath has no League of Ireland representation for a county that has 220,000 people and one of the fastest growing counties in the country. Not to have a League of Ireland representation is poor. Now, that's on nobody. That's just nobody has taken the bit. So they're probably the main reasons. Plus, we're ambitious and we like people telling us that won't work, lads. We'll get there.
Absolutely. That was actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you was, how important it is for the county of Meath in general to have a team when there currently is none, and it's such a big county, so that you've really covered that well there. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
The next
I suppose, sorry, John.
Could you tell us some of the requirements that are needed to be accepted into the third tier?
Yeah, so the FAI, in fairness to them, they issued, I don't know whether it's on for general consumption, but they issued a guidelines, and it's very comprehensive. But in essence, there's six main points that they want clubs to adhere to, and first one would be governance. So, and I think with the FAI club mark, this has brought governance into clubs, and especially at grassroots, where you now have to have a structure for your club, for your committees, your coaches, your staff members, your members all have to be guarded, cleared, and all the rest. So governance is a huge one, which we think is no issue. Facilities, they would be looking for clubs to have floodlights, covered stand for spectators, parking for buses, the usual requirements for a League of Ireland club, which I think is really important. Another big one that they want is community participation, which could be lacking in a few of the clubs. I know the lads from Pats there will kind of delve a little bit more into that on their behalf. But for community participation, and especially as we seen last Sunday when Meath beat Galway, Meath would be a huge GEA base, and football is always competing with GEA. The next one, which is the one I think that everybody kind of shivers and shakes when they see, is finance. But again, to me, this would be an important one. No point applying to do something if we can't finance it and fall apart halfway during the season. Next one is the competitive history. And we're probably lucky in this because we have been the dominant side in the NEFL for the last 5-6 years, culminating with the Leinster Junior Cup in 2023. And then player development, and I think a League of Ireland club in Meath would certainly enhance player development, on the coaching end and for somewhere for them to go.
Absolutely. I think it would be such a huge thing for the county of Meath to have some sort of club, even if you're not from Trim, it would just be fantastic. Have you received any feedback yet from the FAI about your application, if you don't mind us asking?
No. I suppose when the expression of interest went in, there was always kind of whispers who was in, who was out. Fran Gavin then rang just to see were we still interested in it, and we were. So in the sense that feedback, not yet, but I suppose what's happening is we have a presentation to the FAI on the 24th of July, and hopefully we'll get some feedback from that. So as such, that's the feedback. I don't think they can give us much more feedback on that. I think it's probably down to 40 plus clubs now at this stage, and that's only just an educated guess.
Right, that's perfect. Thank you very much. What do the next few weeks and months look like in terms of the application process?
Well, just touching on what I previously said there, like the end of this month, we have the presentation to the FAI. So in that sense, we have to get our ducks all lined up and in line. So what we are doing, and it's probably not the next few weeks and months, it's what we've been doing for the last few as well, is that we have been pushing forwards as priority with our facilities and sourcing funding as well. A lot of the requirements we believe we have in place. So it's, I suppose if I was to say to you, John, this is at the forefront of our mind every day, that we're thinking, looking and educating ourselves on the League of Ireland system. Now, we're probably lucky in the sense that our current first team manager is Robbie Horgan, who managed Drogheda United and would have been a stalwart for Shamrock Rovers. So he would have a good background in the League of Ireland and how it works and how it's run. I think we've lost John. Have we lost?
Yeah, it doesn't look like his connection is the greatest.
I suppose Robbie got to hop in and kind of ask, I suppose in terms of crowd numbers, now I know he's coming into the third division, so kind of seeing the first division in terms of crowds, you're probably talking about the hundreds, but what sort of crowds he's kind of be expecting, I suppose, because obviously you have like Meath, a lot of people in Meath would be even like the likes of Navan supporting the likes of either Bows or even Drogheda. So I suppose, like, what would be your kind of target crowds you'd want for the first year?
I don't think it would be unreasonable to kind of expect, 500 would be what we would be expecting. And this is only a one-off. And I know in the Leinster Junior Cup final, we had conservatively 2,000 supporting us. Now, you're not going to get 2,000 at every game. It's just not going to happen. But I mean, I suppose with a county of 220,000, Trim has 10,000, and within 10-minute drive, we have another 30,000. So the capacity is there. But what we need to do is we need to generate interest. And same as everything else, could be great games going on, but if people don't know what's on, they won't come. And we have to make people want to come. So look, I agree with you. It is, we could be there if everything goes according to plan, and we could be looking at the same, 50 to 100 people that come to most of the games. But I would be confident that we could get up to 500 easy for games.
Yeah, I just have a small question. I'm not familiar with Trim Celtic myself as much, but do you have a stand in the ground, or do you have any plans in the future to get a stand installed? Yeah.
We do. We do, Andrew. Yeah, no, and that's part of the requirements as well. Like, for it. But yeah, no, we have plans for all the stuff. And it's a little bit like, do we build a stand for 500, and if we don't get in, are we left with a stand for 500 for 50 people to stand in? So yeah,
100%. Is John back with us, is he?
He is.
No,
he's not.
Maybe not. Would you be aware of any competitors as well, like in the Meath area? Not competitors, but like similar teams of interests of your level trying to apply for the third tier as well?
As far as I know, Andrew, we are the only ones at the moment. We haven't heard of anybody else, and look, to be honest with you, we released a press statement last week, and that would have been to highlight what the club is looking for, and also with July the 1st. The transfer window, it's a good way of incentivizing people to come and players to come. So I would imagine if any other club was doing it, they would have done the same, you know.
Happy days. 100%. See.
Johnny, you back? I think John is looking at the little circle going around.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, you're back. I think he has a delay on his end as well, doesn't he? By the sounds of things, he has a 10-15 second delay or something.
I suppose then, Robbie, obviously you talked about kind of community support. Obviously, you know, we're Pats fans, we know as ourselves, like Pats are very good at the kind of community outreach and, you know, getting people into the ground, getting around the area, really, you know, drawing people in. I suppose, does Trim kind of have a strategy for doing that? Is it kind of a thing of, you know, going out to local schools, getting people aware, getting especially young people, because that seems to be the big kind of crowds in the League of Ireland in terms of getting them in through the gates of Trim?
Yeah, and look, there seems to be, like, at the minute we have 2 senior teams, so the plan would be is that one of the senior teams would be the team that's going forward, and we still would have then all the underage. So, you know, you have all that capacity there for schools, for community groups, and even talking about, like, if you just got all the members of Trim Celtic to come out, you'd have 750 at a game without bringing parents, without bringing family members, like, you know. So I think clubs that are coming from a grassroots space, they have that advantage of having a club behind them more so than it being, say, a team. So you have that kind of pathway, and you have that an allegiance to a team that's there coming from the community. What do you find? Use that kind of the League of Ireland at the moment, to us, say, on the ground, seems to be the flagship for the FAI. And I know it's probably not a topic that some of the League of Ireland clubs like to kind of praise the FAI, like, you know, but the League of Ireland, its setup is nearly more popular now, say, than the national team.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, I agree to an extent. Like, I think the League of Ireland, like, it's had a bit of a boom stage at the moment. Like, everyone else is just hopping on the bandwagon, so to speak, after COVID. But, like, every year the crowds are growing and growing. Like, I think for the third tier, especially, like, it would be great. Like, because you'd be able to, the gap would be bridged as well between, say, for like yourselves joining the third tier. And then it's like, I don't think there is that much or big of a gap between the first division in the League of Ireland and, say, the likes of yourselves who are joining the third tier. Like, but yeah, I get what you're trying to say in that sort of sense. But now the FAI have come under some criticism regarding the Leagues of Ireland as well, like the facilities. Like, they're not, like, some people, like, I know a lot of people that wouldn't go to a League of Ireland game, or they wouldn't bring their sons or kids to League of Ireland games because the facilities just aren't up to par, and that's what turns some people away from the League of Ireland. So that would be my biggest criticism at the FAI, like, that they don't do enough in that regard. But yeah,
we can't please everybody, sure we can't.
That's it.
I suppose, Robbie, on that note, actually, as well, obviously being the fact that a lot of the sides coming into this are going to kind of either be amateur or part-time, is the FAI kind of giving you as an option of, you know, what days you want to play games? Like, have they kind of said, obviously Friday night is typically League of Ireland, but have they said that the third tier clubs can play on a Saturday or Sunday if they choose?
Nothing that details yet, you know. I suppose the only thing that they have detailed is that it will be divided into north and south. And I suppose probably one of the biggest expenses when you're talking about teams having to, and this goes down to academy, underage academies, is the travel. So they're proposing that they have a grant for travel. What it is, could be a leap card for all the players, just.
Yeah, definitely.
I suppose it's
sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, babe. No, you go ahead, John.
Hello, everyone. Sorry there. I've been out of action for the last little while because due to Wi-Fi problems. I'd like to just apologise so much to everyone in the chat at the moment. I think I've started the issue, but this is the reality of the culty Wi-Fi. But I do believe that from the little bits I've been listening to, I do believe the lads have really held up the ship really well here. Ravi, I really do apologise, and to the two lads as well, I really apologise, and to everyone watching.
No
Ravi, we'll just round off with the last few questions, so if you don't mind.
Sure.
So, do you think a national third tier will help build bridges between the gap between amateur and professional football in Ireland?
I've always had this thought that when you do look at other leagues around the world, that there's a huge disconnect. Has been a huge disconnect between League of Ireland and grassroots, and what it's actually done then is it's kind of set up leagues that are kind of on their own, probably as good as Division 1 teams, would have the players, and that's not really the way the structure should be. The structure should be is that teams want to be part of the League of Ireland in whatever way it comes across. And I don't want to be using the English FA as an example, but when you see, non-league teams, and they have 5 or 6 or even more divisions below it, and everybody has an opportunity to get to the Premier Division. In Ireland, that's not the way it is. And hopefully this now will probably narrow the divide between League of Ireland and grassroots football, because that's not the way it should be, lads. Let's be perfectly honest. We should be all singing off the same hymn sheet.
100%, yeah.
And rather say than and I know there's loads of issues with grassroots football that we're not going to get into that, and we're not even going to solve them, because there'll always, if we solve them problems, there'll be other problems. But I suppose for clubs and teams that don't have an affiliation to League of Ireland things, the talent drain would be one of the huge issues, because I could safely say that, in me, it's the standard of football at underage up to 14 would be excellent, but then the League of Ireland academies are draining that then, and it's becoming, we'd have players coming back after the League of Ireland after them having to travel 3 days a week, hundreds of miles, disillusioned. So hopefully something like this will close that gap.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so well said. It's about building bridges, and rather than division, which is what we're seeing too much of at grassroots level. What kind of investment has been made in facilities, players, and staff to meet League of Ireland standards?
And luckily enough, John, with the last election, when the government were free for Hulick with our sports capital grants money, we were able to source money to floodlight our whole place, our whole facilities, which then brings in all the rest. Because when you bring in some big project like that, that generates its own funding, from being able to play games at night, being able to do training, all these things. Now we're unique in grassroots football. And I know this is another because we play calendar football, the same as the League of Ireland already. So the proposed short season, we done that about 10 years ago with the league. So funding is always going to be an issue. You need a special department going out harassing people. And look, you know, the people who give the couple of hundred for a pitch side sign or whatever like that, they're as important as the corporate, because that's coming from the same pot, like in relative terms. But we're at a good time. It's nearly like Celtic Tiger time. So there is people with a lot of money around. It's just generating the interest. Unless lads, we can get an owner from America.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
that'd be fantastic.
That's it.
Look, stranger things have happened.
Kelleher, what a man.
Yeah, I was gonna ask something like that. Like Pats obviously have Gareth Kelleher as the owner. Like how does a team like Trim come in and say compete? Like obviously the National League third division, it won't be the same like
the
Premier Division. Like there is a lot of money in the League of Ireland nowadays. You see it with Pat's owner Gareth Kelleher, he's a millionaire. Same with Rovers. Rovers good funding. You have Shells as well. They're owned, I think, by Premier Sports. Like there's so much money, and the wages some players are on as well. You see some figures getting thrown around. The likes of Trim, like where would you be looking to get that investment from? Obviously, maybe in the first few years, because apparently I know the rumor floating around is that there won't be, I think, automatic promotion in the first few seasons. I could be wrong about that, but there won't be promotion. So, like, how do you sort that out? Is that just something you think about long term and push it down the line, or do you have plans already set in stone for that?
No, we would have plans in place, and we do have sponsors and investors already on board with us in a smaller capacity, who we understand, and the noises coming from them is that if this comes to fruition, they would be willing to come on board in a bigger way. They're certainly not going to give us tens of thousands if we're still playing the NFL. But if it's a bigger audience, and let's be honest, that's what all sponsors want, is a bigger audience.
100%. Yeah.
Absolutely. We just have one final question for you here, Robbie. So it's actually asked by Ben McElwain. We were planning to ask it anyway, so we might as well ask it now. How important would this be for the Trim Celtic community and the wider Trim area?
Well, I did have all this. So I suppose what it would do is, and look, we even though it's Trim Celtic that's applying to this, we're kind of hoping that it will be a Meath-based team, even though it is Trim Celtic. So in the smaller community, what it will do is it will give. We will be the first team from Meath to be in the League of Ireland, and that's a huge pride and identity. Look, granddaughter in after getting her hair coloured. So the other thing is that local communities on match days, they'll benefit from crowds, they'll benefit from supporters, and it'll give us a better foothold in the community with rival sports. If you take it now that the only thing that people in Meath are talking about at the moment is Meath and Croke Park last weekend, you know, and even going a little bit, say, to media, the print media, they would be very GEA centered. Soccer would be way down the list, and we'd have no issues saying that. And I think what it does as well is for the kids in football, because we get a lot of this where they're being dragged to GEA because GEA would have a higher profile. I think if we had League of Ireland football in Meath, it gives football a higher profile, which means then the kids then have something then to say, well, we're either going to the game, we're part of Trim Celtic who are in the League of Ireland, or it gives them an identity and it gives them a purpose then to stick with us, to stick with football, and possibly prioritise football.
Absolutely. Robbie, just a little observation I've made, about you in this little chat we've had, despite my cultiness issues. I really think you're a man who has unbelievable passion and love for the game, and that's what we need more of. There's a lot of without maybe naming names, potential people who are in soccer for clout or for money, etc. Especially in the elite levels of the game these days. But I truly believe you're all about grassroots, and you've shown unbelievable passion for the game. That's what we need to see more of, and I think you're really someone that I hope the people of Meath, even beyond Trim, can get behind. Robbie, unless you want to say anything else, that's kind of all we have, but it's been such an unbelievable pleasure to talk to you, and I'll let you have the last word there.
Yeah. So if this was like X Factor, lads, I'd love to give you a sob story so you could all vote for Trim Celtic, but it's not. Look, I'd agree with you, John. My focus would be the club and the community. And if doing something impacts on either one of those, doesn't have to be both of them, it's not worth doing. But when something is there that can enhance the club, can enhance grassroots football in the area, and can enhance and engage with the community, then that's something that we're going to chase down. And we're just going to jump on them, and we're going to stick to them until they have to throw us off before we let go anyway. So I would be confident, but then I've been around a little bit longer than you lads, and I know confidence can be what you call it, can be short, So, but look, again, going forward, I want to thank you for giving us the opportunity to showcase Trim Celtic and its application for Tier 3. And if in the future you need to know how it's going, we'll keep in touch.
Robbie Connell, thank you so much for your time. You've been an absolute star, and we wish you absolutely nothing but the best with your application to the third tier.
Thanks, Robbie.
Cheers, Robbie. Thank you.
Thanks, Robbie. Thank you so much.
All the best.
Cheers, Robbie. Thank you so much for coming on. Lads, just before I introduce my good friend Cornell, I just want to apologise to everyone on the stream for my connection issues there. We're just going to call it cultiness. Feel free to slag me in the comments. Sack John or whatever. I'm ready for all of it. I really do apologise, but we're back on track now. We should be okay for the next part of the show, which is going to be reviewing the games. I'd like to introduce my friend Cornell. Cornell, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for having me on the show. I can't believe it. I'm on the show with EverythingPats, obviously, massive fan of the podcast show. Amazing. Hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you. Cheers.
You're welcome, Andrew. Despite that, I have to be watching your videos with you wearing a Liverpool shirt. Love it. Love it. Please do not get me wrong. Even though Liverpool's winning the league next season. Tell you that.
Fantastic. I see Robbie Connell is still with us. Robbie, would you like to stay on to talk about these matches? Or
no, I know I'm going to get dragged away here now in a sec, John. So use fire away and enjoy yourselves. I'm sorry I didn't have a chat with. I'm sorry I didn't have a chat with Cornell. He kind of seems like somebody now we can have a bit of a laugh with.
That's all right. I don't mind having a laugh, man. It's okay. I'll just laugh at Andrew every single day.
Andrew's the whipping boy, is he?
Oh no!
What it sounds the thing, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well,
I'm surprised I'm not the whipping boy after those connection issues, but look, I won't complain.
Cheers, Robbie.
Thank
good
you.
luck.
Cheers,
Robbie. Yeah.
See you later.
Thanks, Robbie.
Thank you so much. Okay. Right, lads, we'll get straight into the games. So,
what's the last week? Is it last week's games?
Last week's games, as well as the ones the games to come. And a bit of transfer news as well. So, the first game actually involves all of our teams. I'm pretty sure Cornell, despite his unbelievable knowledge of League of Ireland, is a neutral, so he'll be the unbiased view here. So the game on Virgin, Cork City 0, St Patrick's Athletic 0. Arguably the worst game to be shown on TV so far this season. Is Stephen Kenny under pressure potentially? And have Cork City shown some signs of improvement under Nash? I think that's something we can discuss. I'll go to Andrew first. Andrew, what did you think of this game from a Pats perspective? And
it was awful. It was awful. Obviously, I was down at it. It was just awful. I think we had one shot on target all game. It was John, you're a Cork fan, aren't you? No disrespect to you, but I think Cork are probably one of the worst League of Ireland teams I've seen ever. Like, that'll probably change now this season. That might change this season now because John Nash is a great coach or whatever. He's starting to pick up good results.
Longford Group, they got I think it was 6 or 7 years ago.
Yeah.
Longford Group and had an absolutely awful season. That's
true, but
hard to top that one.
That is. But I didn't say they were the worst ever, but they aren't great now. But they should have beaten Pats Friday. Kit Nelson had a big chance in the first half, which I don't know how he didn't score. Literally, it was an absolute gift of a chance, and that was probably the biggest chance of the game. But in terms of Pats, it was worrying. It was very, very worrying. It was, and to give Cork their first clean sheet in 22 games or something was disgraceful. Like, we've been awful the past 5 or 6 games, or the 5 6 games. The majority of the season, Pats have been awful. Like 6th in the league. It's just not been great. But from a Cork perspective, it could be something to build on. Obviously, they're playing catch up with Sligo, but no, Cork have laid the foundations out the past 2 or 3 games. Obviously, drawing with Drogheda and drawing with Pats. So it's definitely something to build on in terms of Cork's point of view. But in terms of Pats, it is very worrying times at the moment. But for Cork and Jared Nash, it's all about just the building blocks at the moment. And yeah, I think Cork probably were very happy coming away with a point. But in terms of Pats, not really. It felt like a loss.
I get you. Yeah, I get you completely. Yeah, it's a big claim to say one of the worst LOI teams of all time.
I'm a man who likes to over exaggerating things.
That's okay. No, I love it. Yeah, we're very poor. There's no doubt about that. I do think we have really been crippled by injuries this season, and
definitely.
Lack of security and managers, stuff like that hasn't helped. Yeah,
obviously missed Greg Bowles.
But there's no denying we've been really poor. There's no denying that.
Yeah, sorry, there's a bit of a delay there, so I think that's why we're overlapping each other. But yeah, I don't think obviously.
So my apologies. Yeah, no, that's no problem. Can you hear me okay now?
Yeah, it's all good. But no, the likes of Rory Keaton being out as well. He's out for the whole season. Shawnee McGuire's out for a while. I think who else were you missing? You're missing I think Dykesdale as well. He's a good player. He's out for a while. So you have been rid up by a good few injuries, like Greg Bolger as well, who was excellent, probably man of the match last Friday against Pats. He's been out for a while as well. So in that regard, you have suffered a bit, but yeah.
Yeah, I suppose in that game I was looking at it from probably Cork's perspective. Like, as you said, Andy, they had that major chance. Cork probably should have won that game, realistically. Like, Pats, we said it before on the podcast going into that game, that if you're not beating Cork, considering the form they've been in, I know it's in Turner's Cross, they have home advantage, but Pats needed to come out with that game with 3 points, and we didn't. And I don't think there was really, as you said, a major point where it looked like we were scoring. We just looked toothless is probably the best way to describe it. As I say, you have to give credit to Cork as well. They did put the sword to Pats, but as from a Pats perspective, it's very worrying. The confidence in this squad just seems to be
shot
at an all-time low. Like absolutely in the mud in terms of player confidence, and it's worrying, especially now. We've obviously Bows coming up Friday, which is going to be a massive game considering Bows are in great form at the moment. And then the European games are kicking in. So it's really crunch time for Pats, and probably one of the worst times of the season you could be in poor form. from our perspective.
Yeah, it's a real shame in my opinion, because at the start of the season, like, I really backed Pats. That I thought they'd be winning the league, but at the very least, I thought there'd be a title race. But now it looks like Rovers, unfortunately, despite their loss to Bows recently, are going to absolutely run away with it. Which is a shame, but that this is the way of the game. Stephen Bradley's a very proven coach. Now you would think that Stephen Kenny was a very proven coach as well, and he is, but yeah, it just hasn't worked out for Pats so far this season. But to be fair, you did make up a lot of ground last year in the second half of the season, so who knows? Perhaps you can make a similar style comeback, but it's not looking too rosy. I'll just go to Cornell there. Cornell, what did you make of this game, Cork City against St. Pat's?
My views and my opinion on it, it was one of the worst games that I've ever seen. Both teams wanted to fight for a point, which they got a point finally, which they did. But St. Pat's wasn't very good, wasn't good at all. They didn't play as how we expected them to play. I mean, 3 draws this season and 3 losses absolutely sucks for St. Pat's, because we all expected St. Pat's to be in and around challenging for the League of Ireland title. That was their aim at the start of the season. We have to always flip the coin and say, well, yes, last season, they were basically at the verge of being a relegated team, which they were. And Stephen Kenny came in, replaced the previous assessor that was the manager of St. Pat's, and to get them to be 9 games unbeaten last season. This season, St. Pat's, the same team that I have always said, they are going to be favourites along with Shelburne, Shamrock Rovers. Right now, Shamrock Rovers is running away with the League of Ireland title. They will want to go on and win their fifth consecutive League of Ireland title. St. Patrick's, a team that has been unbeaten at home, away form sucks. Hasn't been good enough. They haven't been good enough away, and a lot of St. Pat's fans will sit down there and say, listen, they haven't been good enough. Injuries haven't really helped, which it hasn't, because there's been key players in there that has really been key. Rommel Palmer, a player that has been in wicked form, was on loan last season and was St. Pat's best player last season, is out with an injury right now. Kierna, obviously, who was top scorer before his injury and has come back. I can understand that Stephen Kenny doesn't want to take no risk with him, which, is fair enough, and you can accept that. There's a few injuries in there that you would look at and I think, okay, yes, he was under scrutiny. This is Stephen Kenny we're talking about here. We're talking about a manager that has dominated the League of Ireland, has won 12 League of Ireland titles with Dundalk. Managed Republic of Ireland, didn't go so well. Come out and decided, well, let me give a shot to St. Pat's right now. Right now, we expect the best of them, but we're not seeing that. They have dropped off completely because of the injuries as well, and also Stephen Kenny not getting his starting 11 right. The only players that were actually doing something was Zebedee. Zebedee, who's just coming now, has been the best player there. What has happened to Jake Mulaney? I don't know what has happened to Jake Mulaney. Why is Jake Mulaney not playing how we expect him to play? Simon Power, obviously, is in and out of that team. We all know what Simon Power can do. Mason Melia, a player that is going to Tottenham in January. He's supposed to be scoring more goals than how you would expect him to do. If he wants to go and be in that starting 11 for Spurs, he's got to show his class and his quality. Kinner is not his fault. He got injured. It's going to take him a bit of a while. Yes, we're seeing the glimpses of Kinner, what he can do, right? The midfield, Jamie Lennon. We all know how Jamie Lennon is. Yeah, Chris Forrester, a player who is one of the greatest League of Ireland players of all time, and he will be when years to come. We expected him. Joe Redmond is no brainer. We all know how fantastic Joe Redmond is, right? But St. Pat's have to sit down and really look at this and think, where are they going wrong? What is it? Does the players don't like each other? Do they not get on with each other? I do not know. So there is a lot of questions for St. Pat's to really answer. Stephen Kenny is feeling the pressure. If he's feeling the pressure, he needs to learn to get his starting 11 correct. They are going into a Dublin derby tomorrow. Yeah, they're going into a Dublin derby tomorrow, and they have to go on and go guns blazing because Bohemians are bossing it right now. They are completely bossing it, and they are the reason why they are second because they work hard as a team. They're not just relying on Tierney. They're not just relying on Denvoy. They're not relying on Dale Rooney and others as well. I mean, I'm pleased that James Clark is not going Grimsby because I would be sick to death if he goes to Grimsby. I'm so proud that he ain't going, being fair, even though I despise Grimsby Town so much, even though I support Lincoln City, obviously. So I'm proud. I'm praise, man, that he is not going to them Codheads there because I would be fuming if he does. Trust me. But this result, please, I'm pleased that it's a draw. But I think this is another opportunity that St. Pat's have basically really messed up. Cork City, no brainers. Nash is trying his hardest. I mean, look, if they get Pat Hobben to come in, I'm sorry, we're gonna see Shawnee Maguire and Hobben linking up together. Seriously, if they can get it over the line, they've got other three signings over the line, which I'm very pleased, Kellier and so on. Yes, of course, the question is going to be asked, well, why is he bringing in youth? Why is he not bringing in no experience? But you have to try the youth, but you need experience to help those new signings. But they are confident that they can go and get, Hobben over the line. But this result, I think this is 2 points drop for St. Pat's, and I think St. Pat's really need to really find a way to get back to form. Yes, they probably feel they don't need to add anybody because of the depth that they have. But if they really want to be title contenders, they need to add some quality into this team. Cork City has already shown them what they're capable of. Yes, I do worry for them because Daniels is not going to be there. He's going to go to Kilmarnock. Look, we all expect that short-term deal. He wasn't staying there for long. It's a real shame they can't extend it or turn it into a permanent. That's understandable. But look, Cork City played really, really well. I thought they had so many chances to score. They had opportunity to put chances away. But St. Pat's, man, Stephen Kenny needs to do something. If he don't do something, if he doesn't sort out who's his best 11, who's his best players, I'm sorry, he needs to get the step in and just leave completely because St. Pat's are a better team than this. And they need somebody to come in and say, listen, all of you are fantastic players. But if you can't get it right, I'm sorry, the pressure is coming for you, and you can kiss the title challenging for the League of Ireland title goodbye.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Cornell. Absolutely. Some fantastic points raised there. Great analysis as always, and very, very passionate for you. Didn't hold back at all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I do think there's signs of improvement under Nash. Even though, I famously am very pro Tim Clancy. But anyway, we'll move on to the next game anyways. Next game up is Galway United against Shelbourne. That's 2 draws now for Shell since Duff left. Is the title hope all but gone? I think most likely so. And how big of a loss is Moses Dyer going to be to Galway? Andrew, if you don't mind, I'll just go to you there first.
No,
if you have any opinions at all in this game.
Yeah, no, it was, again, that kind of got away from Shells, really, wasn't it? You can hear me fine, can you? Yeah?
Yeah, hear you perfect, yeah.
No, but, sorry. Yeah, it was a game that kind of got away from Shells. Similar to the Warford game, I thought, I didn't watch the game, I only watched the Pats game, so I was like that, but I've seen the highlights, like, Audebecco put Shells ahead 1-0, and they had so many chances after that. Like, so many chances to kill the game off, and they just couldn't take them, whether it was Audebecco, Sean Boyd. They just couldn't. And it allowed Galway back into the game. Galway obviously rescued a point near the end due to a Conor Kearns blunder. But Shells, they'd Watford, I think, a few days before, and it was the same thing. Like, they just concede stupid goals, and it's kind of been the story of Shells this season. Shells fans will say the same. I think Joey O'Brien even came out and said it after
Very
the goal
similar
again.
to Pats, in all fairness.
It is. I don't think we're in as bad as a position they're in, though, to be honest. They have Champions League to look forward to, don't they?
I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, but like, yeah, no, I know what you're saying. It's similar to Pats, but no, I thought like they're kind of enemies of their own downfall at the moment, Shells, and yeah, it's probably 2 points dropped by them conceding so late, and then they had a chance to win it near the end as well. I think Boyd dragged the shot wide, which was a big chance, but no, yeah, they're the type of game Shells need to grind out and win. Same with the Waterford game a few days ago. Like, we're thinking, like, if this was last season, Shells would win them both them games because they found a way to win, and that's what got them over the line to win the league in the end. You know what I mean? So, yeah, in terms of Shells, probably disappointed enough. In terms of Galway, probably a good point. Obviously, they've got Moses Dyer's gone to Cambodia now as well. I think they've brought in Malcolm Shaw from the Canadian League to replace him, which
I think, unfortunately, lads, we've lost Andrew there, which is a pity, but I'm sure he'll be back with us in a minute. So,
Me?
everything LOI, I'll just go to you there. If you don't mind, if you have any
We still have
thoughts
Andy on my end.
Galway versus
what? Wait, can you hear me?
Oh, sorry. Oh, my goodness. So sorry.
Could you hear me,
at all?
Just wanted to get you to stop talking. That's all it was.
Take your time, and when everything LOI, yeah.
No, it's all right. Pierre,
that's my bad.
Pierre can talk. I don't want.
They just wanted to stop Andy talking. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Genuinely not. I swear to God, that is not the case.
Yeah, but like as I said, Shells just seem to be kind of a bit like Pats this season. I think the problem with Shells are actually playing well, but just aren't really getting results. Like as I said, like you go 1-0 up, thanks to Meepo, of course. They just the game management just seems to be poor, and I know there's a lot going on at Shells. Obviously, Joey's coming in to kind of steady the ship after obviously Duffer's gone and left, so they're kind of left in a weird position at the moment. Shells, I think you mentioned the title. Like that's more gone for Shells. Let's be realistic; they're not going to retain the title this season. That looks fairly nailed on for Rovers, but yeah, like I think a lot of people at the start of the season did kind of expect Shells to really kick on. I didn't expect them to be, you know, probably winning the title this season, but I also didn't expect them to be that poor. But as I said, it just seems to be a case of for Shells, they're playing well, but there's just something missing with them. Obviously, from Galway perspective, it's great for them to get a point, considering like they were trailing the game for pretty much the majority of it. Dyer's obviously going to be a big loss, top scorer in the league. So replacing the goals they're getting from him is obviously going to be a very difficult affair. But yeah, like to be honest, if you told me it was going to be a 1-1 draw between Galway and Shells, it's probably a result you would have expected. In all honesty, coming out of that game with how the two sides have been, Galway just seem to always be a side that's getting draws at the moment, and Shells, you know, just seem to be lacking that something that's pushing them on this season.
Absolutely. Thanks very much. Andrew, I'm so sorry there if I caught you off short there. I genuinely you completely went off me. But yeah, that's grand. We'll go to Cornell there. So Cornell, do you have any thoughts on this one?
Yes. This game was a fantastic opportunity for Shelburne to really showcase their talents and showcase themselves as a team. Shelburne haven't really been fantastic this season. Let's be real. Let's be realistic. They haven't been because of results that haven't really gone their way. Damien Duff leaving is a massive blow for them. They haven't really found the positivity that we expected them to be, and you know, Shelburne haven't really been at their best this season. I mean, look, as it's been stated, look, the title is them retaining the title is definitely gone. You know, there's no way on earth they're going to retain it now. It's definitely going in Rovers. It's Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians challenging for the title, fighting it out for it now. So, you know, obviously, I think Shelburne can look forward to just finishing in mid-table this season and really finding a way. Yes, it's been a little It's been difficult for Joey O'Brien because Joey O'Brien's been to step in. Yes, there's been a few glimpses, which they have been. They have been a few glimpses of how well Shelburne have been playing, but they haven't shown the quality that we expected to be. Like, they've just got rid of Ryan O'Kane to go out on loan, to Salogo now, where he's going to get more minutes under his belt. Look, we all expect Shelburne to be up there, but the way it's looking, it's not happening. The amount of chances that Shelburne had, they should have put away. Meepo had one as well, and he should have put it away. Boyd had one. As I said in the previous, podcast, is that I was pleased to see Sean Boyd back. I've always wanted to see Boyd and Odebeko link up together because I think they both play well. No respect towards Martin and Chris Wood. I think Chris Wood and Martin are very, very good quality players, but we all want to see Odebeko and Boyd link up together and bring that firepower, but we haven't seen that as such because Boyd is trying to take it easy from coming back from an injury. As for Galway United, it's been an up and down for them because Moses Dyer's gone to Cambodia in Asia. He's gone there to due to money talks and things. But I think if Malcolm Shaw coming from the Canadian Premier League, he showed some very fantastic physical dominant glimpses of what he's going to be about, and I think Malcolm Shaw is going to be someone that I think that Galway United will rely on to score the goals. I thought the chances that Galway United had in the second half, I thought they were good. They came back to life. Shelburne was decent in the first half, and Galway United showed the quality and the class. And Sewer played very well from that left flank, and putting whipping crosses into the box like he's on a mission. Look, listen, a draw is not what Shelburne wants. I think Shelburne need to learn to grind out results and say, look, if you're 1-0 up, you need to find a way to defend the lead. Don't concede it. Don't throw it away. And the amount of chances and sloppiness that I saw from Shelburne wasn't good enough. And Galway exploited that. They found ways to make sure that, they salvaged the point. They had a chance going towards the end, just like how Shelburne did. But look, it's the same thing. 2 points dropped again from Shelburne. But Galway United, I think, with more additions, I think they'll add to their team. I think we'll see the very best of them. But yeah, I think a draw was the valuable point, really. And I think Shelburne are going to look at this and think, well, it's not good enough. Joey O'Brien's got a lot of pressure on him now. I mean, and unless they can find another manager to come in and
just on that, Cornell, David Sinead was a reliable League of Ireland journalist. I don't think any of John or anyone would have seen it. He put a tweet out there 25 minutes ago saying that Joey O'Brien set to be confirmed as officially as the new Shelburne manager. So that's that managerial saga taken over or done and dusted now, which is interesting. So thought I'd put in there.
Oh, that's okay. Thank you very much for telling me. Thank you.
No worries.
Genie, yeah, thanks for that, Andrew. That is an interesting one. He's done okay so far. So I'm sure the Shells fans would be somewhat happy with that from a performance perspective, and also you don't want to change the culture too much after following a new manager, So that's interesting. Thanks for that update there, Andrew. Lads, we'll move on to the next game. So this was quite a surprise, I suppose. Derry City 3, Drogheda United 0. Derry City seems to be hitting form at the right time. And how much of an impact has the news of being kicked out of the Europa Conference League had on them? And Drogheda, I mean, I think it's had a huge impact. And this is evident here. So, Andrew, I'll go to you first there. What's your thoughts?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a 6-pointer considering where they're at.
Yeah, definitely. No, 100%. Drogheda, obviously, I think I agree to an extent the European news couldn't hit them like a train. And Derry are flying at the moment, obviously. They've got a few decent wins. Beat us at Richmond Park. And beat Shells and Falkirk. Yeah, and now beat Drogheda 3-0 at home. And they're keeping clean sheets, which is good. I think they're up to second in the table now. So, they obviously Derry had a shaky start to the season. Sorry, I don't think camera focus. But they had a shaky start to the season, Derry. But no, they're going well now, and they were very good against Drogheda the other day again. It's kind of I watched a bit of the highlights. Like they just seemed they were in full control of the game. Like it was a comfortable enough affair. Like Stam Todd and Ronan Boyce obviously score 2 goals in quick succession. In terms of Drogheda, I think it's put a serious kind of halt to their European charge now, because you have teams coming in like that are fighting. I think Rovers definitely have the League One at this stage. Derry, Bows, Drogheda are up there for, like, you'll have Derry and Bows who will be up there second and third probably by the end of the season. But in terms of Drogheda, it's allowed, the past few games they've dropped points in, has allowed other teams to come in and kind of bridge the gap between. I think Drogheda, they're down to 4 now as far as I know. So Shells are only 3 points behind them. Pats are only 4 points behind them. So they'll be looking over their shoulder now with caution. Like, I think it's a big transfer window coming up for Drogheda as well. Obviously losing Dougie James Taylor, which is a big loss. They'll be looking to bring in a few bodies. But
this talks of Warren Davis going as well, isn't it?
Huh? Oh yeah, Warren Davis. Yeah, he could be going to Cardiff, I think. As I read somewhere. So yeah, no, it's a tricky period for Drogheda. But yeah, who knows? Like, who knows if they? I think a lot of people did call that they'd fall off at some stage, but who knows? They could surprise us all and then get back to winning ways and sustain that for the rest of the season and hope to get in a European place. But yeah, not good times for Drogheda at the moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's a pretty fair analysis. Like, probably a good few people did call that they would, potentially fall off. But who knows? It could just be a bad spell of form. I mean, this happens to teams as well. Everything LOI, we'll go to you there. So, what was your couple of thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, as Andy said, obviously for Drogheda, it's not exactly great. They've really, June hasn't been the greatest month at all for them, in all honesty. But I'd like to obviously focus on Derry, as Andy said. Like, obviously they beat Drogheda there 3-0. They beat us and Shells both coming down to Dublin, got 6 points out of that weekend. Like, I did not expect this from Derry, to be honest, at the start of the season. I didn't expect Tiernan Lynch to come in and have Derry playing this well. But like, you do have to just look some of the players, like Michael Duffy. Honestly, probably one of my favourite players in the league. He's absolutely immense. I think he got an assist there the other night. Absolutely brilliant player. And like, yeah, as I said, Rovers are probably, nailed on favourites at the moment for the title. But you're looking at Derry, you're looking at Bows for them European spots. Like, they're really fighting. Obviously, Derry missed out last season, so they do seem to be this season that they're making a fight back for them European spots. And the times I have watched them, I probably haven't watched them as much as I should this season, but the times I have watched them, I have been thoroughly impressed by Derry. And it does look like they are not fighting for the title, but definitely for them European spots between them and Bows at the moment. So yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks a million. Very, very good analysis again. Cornell, we'll go to you, my brother. And now, your inside Cornell is absolutely fantastic. Nobody could question that. If you don't mind, maybe 5 minutes max, just so we're not, because we've still a lot to get through. But yeah, go for it there now, brother.
Yeah, sure. Brilliant win for Derry City. Obviously to win 3-0 against Drogheda was a massive statement from them. Derry City have been basically like back on form now, and we're seeing the very best of Derry City now than how we were before. We criticized them on how well they were gonna gel into the new season of the League of Ireland, and including Lynch as well, and obviously of them bringing in experienced players. But I think from since that time they've added new signings as well, new faces as well to it. Too, they've looked very, very good, and 3 wins, of course, they deserve to, start going up the table. As for Drogheda as well, I think Drogheda, obviously, I think are feeling the effects of being kicked out of Europe. But I mean, look, as it's been stated, Warren Davis is leaving, could be linked with Cardiff and Reading and Blackpool and other EFL clubs, that are after him as well. So it's a big it's very going to be very interesting. Look, I don't want to really rule them out. They are third where they are, and they are in the title race, to be honest. I mean, yes, I think missing James Taylor, I think, is a big blow, and I think it'll be very, very interesting to see who they replace James Taylor with up front. But Yeah, I think disappointing for Drogheda, but you know, it's a fantastic start for Derry, and I think this is definitely something that I think Derry will definitely be interested in bouncing back and getting to winning ways.
Ideal. Thanks, Carlin, and you're absolutely dead right. You know, they are huge losses. So I think they're already feeling the effects of them, and obviously the potential loss as well. So I think they're really feeling the effects of that. And you know, it's you know, but you know, they've still got Kevin Doherty there, who's a tremendous manager. We'll move on to the next game swiftly, so lads. If it will let me change. Your favourite team, Bohemians, lads, against Sligo Rovers. Sligo are honestly seem to be getting better by the week. I'm quite, you know, worried about them, to be honest, that they just seem to be getting better and better. They gave Bows, who've been the probably second best team in the league this year, a really good game. You know, Owen Eldon, potentially goal of the season. I don't think many would argue with that.
Unbelievable.
Has he young player of the season wrapped up? Potentially. You know, he's class. And another point for Sligo to keep the gap from Cork City. You know, how important is the transfer window for them, for Sligo now. So I'll go to Andrew first, as we traditionally have done.
No,
Andrew, what did you think of this game?
Yeah, in terms of for Sligo, I think I agree with you that they are getting better game by game. And yeah, you see Owen Eldon's goal, unbelievable it was. And they were fantastic for 90 minutes of the game. Obviously, I rate John Russell. I think he's a very good manager. I think Sligo have been unlucky with, like, they don't have the funds as many other League of Ireland clubs do, so they're kind of strict and limited in that sort of sense. But no, I think in terms of, they've lost Reece Hutchinson now. I think he's gone to Crew Alexander. I've always rated him. He's been played. I think he's played like 62 consecutive games or something for Sligo, which is a ridiculous stat. But no, he's a great left back, and he'll probably thrive in England as well. But no, and they're starting to bring in a few players as well. I think they've brought in Ryan O'Kane on loan from Shells, obviously, and they've brought in a few other players as far as I know as well. But I can't say them off the top of my head because I don't know. But no, like, they'll probably be gutted now not to get the 3 points, unfortunately. But no, I mean, the gap stays the same with Cork. Like, there is a 4-point gap there. It's a bit of a big gap, and you never know, they could get a big run together and pull away altogether. But who knows? In terms of Bows, obviously they equalised in the 95th minute, good header from James Clark, and Dawson avoided a chance to win it in the 97th minute or something, where he hit the bar, last kick of the game. But like, I've never really taken Bows as serial title challengers in the league, and I think that kind of proves my point. Like, it's games like them, Sligo home, where they're dropping points, which is why they won't catch the likes of Shamrock Rovers, and why they'll just be in a European race, because they're just too inconsistent in that sort of sense. You have to be perfect, and you have to win the likes of Sligo and homes. It's already beaten Rovers 3 times in a season, but then when you drop points to look at a Cork, Sligo, it's going to kill you, and that's what's allowed Rovers to be top of the league. But yeah, other than that, I think Bows will probably be the more disappointed team, even though they equalised late. But yeah, nonetheless, a good point for Sligo. And yeah.
Yeah, I think with Sligo as well, I think I put them as actually favourites to go down this season. But as you said, they seem to kind of be picking up points here and there, improving. Every single season, it's the exact same crack with Sligo. It comes to summer and they get ripped apart. They're losing players left, right, and centre. And John Russell just somehow every single season seems to keep them trucking along, and just out of the relegation zone. Like, yeah, coming to Daily Mail Park, taking a point away. As you said, they probably will be disappointed in the fact that they were leading the game until the 90th minute. It seems to just be the story of the season, the late Bows, as they seem to be calling them now at this rate. But I suppose touching on Bows, like, look, you saw they have quality all over the pitch. Ross Tierney, Dale Rooney, James Clark has now scored in two successive games at home. But the big thing about Bows is, and it was going into this game, a lot of people brought the point is, you can't beat Rovers 2-0 at home and then go on and drop points against Sligo. And that's just it's just seems to always be the case with Bows that they had to get a win out of this game if they were serious about pushing Rovers, because Rovers are going to consistently keep picking up points. There's a reason Rovers have won 5 out of 6. Realistically, they're going to win one this year, so we're going to say 5 out of 6 titles in the past 6 years. It's just every single time they have a chance to close the gap, they seem to throw it away. So look, at Bows probably could have, as I said, Dawson Devoy had a chance to win the game in the end, and we could have been having a completely different conversation. We could be saying Bows all of a sudden now, they actually have a chance at the title. But I think for Bows, same crack with Derry, it's more so the target of getting Europe this season, because especially with the start of the season, they people calling for Alan Reynolds' head, and now all of a sudden they're performing absolutely brilliantly. But yeah, it's definitely a result. I'd say Sligo would be happier leaving Dalymount Park with a point than Bows would be in the end of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty accurate analysis from me, but it was late Bows, it seems, for all their quality, which is kind of undoubted considering their performances against Rovers in the past few weeks. They just can't seem to break down maybe these low block sides, these smaller sides on paper. They're really struggling with that, despite all the quality they have. Cornell, what was your thoughts on Bows Sligo this game here?
My thoughts on Bohemians versus Sligo Rovers is Bohemians' quality and their ability to go on and really try and win the game. Yes, of course, it wasn't a win for Bohemians, but they drew the game and got both teams got a point. Sligo Rovers under John Russell's been going through a lot of scrutiny, which they have been. Obviously, Sligo Rovers haven't been at their best, but when they've always shown the heart and soul and determination and always making an effort, and they've always been reliant on Jay Hackey, and of course Owen Eldon's goal is just unbelievable. Owen Eldon is just unstoppable right now. He's the 8 goals this season is unbelievable, and this is the reason why Owen Eldon is getting attracted by a lot of EFL clubs in the Championship. And I think he's definitely got the ability to go on and play in the Championship for real. Bohemians, obviously, they've been in fantastic form this season. Yes, of course, Mosey's gone. Brilliant to see him gone, because he wasn't good enough for Bohemians, which he wasn't. And I think everybody was hyping him up so much. But look, I think the whole talent is on the pitch right now in Bohemians, and they're in the title race right now for a reason. And not just only that, I think you can clearly see that Bohemians are just on another level now. And a Tierney, Del Rooney, again, fantastic player. Brilliant to see him that he signed a new contract with Bowes, and he's been very important for them. So look, listen, I think at the end of the day, I think Bohemians did what they did, and that was to get a draw. But they were the better team from start to finish, and you've got to be honest. Look, Sligo Rovers for me are still trying to find themselves, and I think they will. John Russell's brought in some very good signings, made a lot of good additions. Yeah, he wants to increase the depth in Sligo's team, but Bohemians are just on another level, and I think right now it's time to stop underestimating Bohemians right now, and say that Bohemians are challengers for Shamrock Rovers for the League of Ireland title. And yes, I do apologize for Alexa's interruption.
That's no problem at all, man. No problem. Paul B has just left a comment there. Breaking them down wasn't even the issue, lads. It should have been 3-0 before the World Day. No coincidence, we are about to announce a striker, or we did announce a striker on the first day of the window. I'll take full responsibility for that. So, I can't lie, I didn't get to watch this game. I just think I suppose where I got my logic from was, Bows do seem to have a bit of a habit of drawing and dropping points to lower sides. Waterford comes to mind. They've actually lost this season to us, Cork City. So I suppose that's where my logic came from. That is that it seems to be a recurring theme, but perhaps I'm wrong that it's not a case of failing to break teams down. It's actually a case of poor finishing. And in that case, perhaps I should watch more Bohemians, which I'll be honest, I don't intend on doing. We'll move on to the last game, so lads. That is Shamrock Rovers against Waterford. 1-0 to Shamrock Rovers. Looks like it's their title to lose now. The three of us have kind of agreed on that. It's their title to lose. They've been pretty good this season. However, the question I might put to you lads is: are Waterford in danger of being dragged into a relegation playoff scrap? I personally don't think so. I think it's very much, it's either Sligo or us, Cork City. But, they are in a little bit of harm's way, and Sligo do seem to be on the rise. Perhaps if Sligo can get some good players, and looks like City have signed a few decent players, who knows? So yeah, I'll go to you there first, Andrew. What was your overall thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, like it didn't seem like there was much going on, to be honest. Like Rovers got a big 3 points from a mistake from the keeper, like, which is sometimes the look you need to win a league title. Waterford probably unlucky not to come away with a point. But yeah, to answer your question, I can't see them getting dragged down to a relegation scrap. If I'm being a bit honest, if the likes of James Olianka in midfield, he's a great midfielder. Like the spine there is a good spine. You have Andy Boyle, Olianka, and like Amond and you have Amond and Lonergan up top. Like there's not many better front twos on the league than them two. Tommy Lonergan's been a great signing, and James Coleman, like he's done a decent job since he's come in. I can't remember your man's name they had when they sacked Keane Long. I think they won 3 or 4 on the bounce or something. But no, like they're 8 points clear Sligo. They well easily could now, but I think they'll have enough to just stay above it because their capabilities to beat anyone in the league, like, you know what I mean? I think they're on a similar level to Galway, even Pats at the moment. Like, so no, I don't think they will get dragged in. But yeah, in terms of Rovers, they're just running away with it though, aren't they? They are literally running away with it. Noonan, Graham Burke, I think Graham Burke's the best player in the league, along with Jack Byrne. But no, yeah, the back three they've had for years: Lee Grace, Pico Lopez, Dan Cleary, Josh Honehan, unreal. Danny Grant's been a great sign, and Matt Healy's probably been the best midfielder in the league. So Rovers got their recruitment spot on in the league or in the off season in the transfer window, and yeah, they've had a great window, and it's paying out because they're going to go on to win the league, which is great for them because they'll be back in the Champions League next year. But yeah, I think I keep saying this to people: if Chelsea didn't win the league last year, we'd probably be looking at Rovers fucking going for 10 in a row in terms of league titles. They're just so far ahead of everyone in terms of budget. And yeah, but I think that's it in terms of the league title. Now I think it's wrapped up. Rovers will walk it for the rest of the season. But yeah, that's all I have to say there. But I want to cut in before you move on to Pierre. I actually have to go, lads. I didn't think the podcast would be this long, unfortunately. So I have stuff to be honest. That's all right. So, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks for having us on, John.
Such a pleasure to meet you, Andrew.
And Cornell as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah, Peter. I'll see you soon as well, shortly. Anyway,
cheers, Andrew. Thank you so
cheers
much
for having us on. Take care, lads. Best of luck with everything. Bye-bye.
See you soon. All the best, Andrew. Thank you. Yeah, I was going to say to him there. Actually, I can remember him earlier in the season doing I don't know who the Shamrock Rovers fan was, to be honest, out of my ignorance, but he was doing a Shamrock Rovers combined 11 team, St. Pat's Rovers, and he was very good now at making the case for Pat's players and defending them. So, but no, we really appreciate Andrew's time, and also you two guys' time. Of course, you're all brilliant. But yeah, Andrew has now left us. Right, everything LOI, go ahead there with your thoughts on the game.
Waterford, the possibility of them get dragged into it. I can't really say it because the thing about Waterford is, and it seems to be the thing Sligo and Cork are lacking, is they're still picking up enough points along the way. It's drawn against Shales, drawn against Drogheda, and I think they won against Bows there recently as well. They're just picking up points left, right, and centre that is enough to keep them there. But I think, like, in terms of the game as a whole, it's just typical Rovers, isn't it? Balls drop points, Rovers capital, Gaffney scores thanks to a mistake. It is just typical Rovers in they're always going to pick up points. There's a reason they're constantly winning titles, because they're picking up points when other teams aren't. They're consistently they're either getting a draw enough that no other team in the league really seems to be having. I suppose last season you could probably point to, but last season was really a Rover, was an off season for Rovers. At the end of the day, Harry would miss away from Rovers being on track to win 6 in a row at this point. So, and it's not fun for me. Rovers actually, in fact, are more my local than Pats, if anything. So it's not fun seeing all the Rovers fans celebrating all the time. But look at them well.
He's gone.
He's gone. Okay, I can't actually hear him either. But hopefully he'll be back with us in a minute, potentially. Apologies to the viewers for the technical difficulties we've been having tonight. But yeah, I think there were some really strong points made there, to be quite honest. Rovers are looking extremely good. It looks like it might just be us for the rest of the night, bro. But if he comes back at any stage, we'll let him straight back in. Cornell, do you want to go through this Rovers Waterford again? Oh, he's back.
Yes, definitely. My views on, I do apologize for the other geezer not coming back on real. Here he is.
He's back.
Excellent. My views on this is Shamrock Rovers are unstoppable right now, and they are unstoppable for a reason. We're seeing the very best of Michael Noonan. We're seeing the very best of Graham Burke, Jack Byrne, absolutely 7 assists this season for a reason. Is the reason why Shamrock Rovers are in the form that they are. Increase their points tally up in the top of the table, and they are playing absolute outstanding football. Stephen Bradley's got them where they are. They've just added John McCoven into the team now, who will be playing with them now. And look, I think we can all speak about Waterford and how well we all expected Waterford to be up there this season. Yes, of course, they're key. When Keith Long left, I think there was a lot of expectations. Are we gonna see the very best of Waterford again or not? John Coleman's come in. He has experience of managing in the League of Ireland since 2014 at Saloga Rovers this year. Look, again, we wasn't expecting Waterford to lose this game. We expected them to cause a major shock and stuff like that. But look, I think Shamrock Rovers I've said it loads of times, they are not giving up on trying to get their 5th consecutive League of Ireland title because of the ability and the squad that they have. Yes, they've got injuries in the team. Like Adam Matthews, their centre-back is out injured, which is a real shame. But one thing for certain, I think that Shamrock Rovers will definitely go on and win it. But Waterford, I think, look, I wouldn't want to see them being dragged into a relegation playoff position. I think they deserve to stay up. I think John Coleman, you have to give him the credit. He's got the best out of Longeren and Almond, because they've been very, very good to watch. Almond's been scoring goals for fun, and that is what Almond does. Longeren is the same thing. You're seeing, 2 Arsenal young graduates, come into the team and make a huge difference as well. But, it wasn't meant to be. But look, Shamrock Rovers, they are unstoppable for a reason. And I think they're going to be very, very difficult to stop. And I think with Europe coming up, I think they're going to have another good run in Europe as well. But I think to win against Waterford, I think was an absolute bounce back ability that they needed, because last week against Bohemians, they lost, fair and square. Bohemians were a better team in the previous game. But I think this is a very, very fantastic win for Shamrock Rovers, and, big them up every day.
Perfect, Carl. Thank you so much. Lads, I'm just going to go through a comment and then just a few small thoughts of the first division report, I suppose, from myself and the report and transfers. Then the three of us will go back into we'll zip through the previews. Just firstly from Paul D there, thanks for all your comments, Paul. You're very good. To be honest, any suggestion except Rovers will win it is silly. They were below par last season and they were still 5 minutes away from winning it. That's a pretty good point from Paul, to be honest. They were by their standards quite poor last season, but they still, were in a title race. That's more to be said for, I suppose, Pats and Shells so far. No disrespect there. But so absolutely, I think that's a very valid point. Just quickly on the first division, lads, it's a pity we don't have Luke O'Mahony on tonight. He probably could have given a more comprehensive analysis than I can. But the main story from the first division seems to be that Dundalk are in somewhat of a crisis. Maybe that's a strong word. I don't know. They're still going to get promoted comfortably, but they do have a bit of a fight in their hands as co-Ramblers are really shooting up the table. So that's the main story from the first division. In terms of transfer news, Douglas James Taylor has officially signed for Bohemians. Huge signing in there from Drogheda after leaving his parent club. Ryan O'Kane, the very talented young winger, initially stems from Dundalk, has left Shelburne to join Sligo Rovers on loan. So that's a really strong signing for Sligo, who we were talking about earlier, are on the rise. Lise Mousset has officially left Bohemians. Unfortunately, it just didn't work out for Mousset. A lot of people predicted that it could have been Mousset. It could have been he'll either score 30 goals or he'll score no goals. Unfortunately, I think he might have scored one goal, maybe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that was about it. So yeah, it's not a successful venture for him in Ireland, unfortunately, which is a shame because he was a very high-profile player. It just didn't work out, and these things happen, Also, the new Bohemians jersey, they're taking all the news today. Was released. Oasis jersey. They're a different club. They're very unique. The lads aren't too happy with it. I tend to agree with them, but I'm supposed to be impartial as a host, so I'll stay impartial. It's interesting, and it's look, they're a very unique club. You have to respect that. Right, lads, we'll just run through the previews. So the first game we're going to cover is Shelburne against Cork City. So will it just come down to who wants the 3 points more? Who knows? I think from a Cork City perspective, we would absolutely love a draw, probably, especially going up there to Dublin. Joy O'Brien, will he get that new manager bounce after Andrew, told us earlier he is pretty much officially in through the door there now? Not sure. It's going to be interesting, but I'm very much looking forward to this game. We'll go to you first there, Everything LOI. What's your kind of thoughts of this game ahead?
Well, I suppose for Shales going into this, they're definitely looking at it as a game they should win. They got 2 draws from the Joey O'Brien. It's the last game now for the European break. And no insult to Cork, but if you're looking at any team you want to be playing at home, it is probably Cork or Sligo at the moment. But I suppose Sligo are probably in a bit better form, so it's probably a game Shales are looking at saying, right, we win this, we go into Europe with a bit of confidence. Just get the 3 points out of it. Cork, as I said, they're probably going to be coming up to Dublin. Realistically, they're looking to get a draw is the realistic response, because they're just looking to pick up any sort of points they can to close that gap on Sligo. So look, I'll be realistic. I can't really see anything else than a Shales win coming from this game. In all honesty.
Yeah, pretty spot on analysis. It's definitely a game I'm not, I'm a little worried about, especially considering it being away from home. But Shells haven't been in amazing form, so who knows, I suppose. But I think your analysis is very fair there, to be honest. Cornell, there, go ahead. What's your preview for this game?
My preview for this game is, I think all eyes are going to be on Shelburne this season to see if they can get back, to winning ways. Joey O'Brien, obviously, officially now is going to become the new manager of Shelburne, which I think is a is a decent appointment, to be fair, despite that they've shown a little glimpses of what they can do. But I think it will be very interesting to see how Shelbourne really kick on, and will they find themselves back to winning ways, or will it be the same old that we have been seeing from Shelbourne, that they've had leads, that when they've been winning and then they concede at the last minute or something. But Cork City, obviously, I think I think they'll have a something to say into this game. I mean, obviously, I think they're bringing in new faces, obviously, which they have done. They're very confident of, like I said previously, bringing in Patrick Hoban into the fold. So I think this game, I think for me will be I think will probably be supposedly a win for Shelbourne for me, but it won't be surprising if Cork City, I think, turn up and give Shelbourne a hard game. So I think maybe another draw, I think.
Great. Thank you so much, Colonel. A draw would be very welcome. We'll move on swiftly to the next game there, lads. And that is Drogheda United against Galway United. Two sides who are in different kind of form at the moment. I suppose Drogheda probably in slightly worse form, if we're being honest. Everything LOI, will go to you first. What do you expect from this game?
Yeah, as you said, it's two teams who aren't exactly doing the greatest at the moment. I just said Drogheda coming out the back of that 3-0 loss away to Derry City, and then Galway, of course, getting that draw out of the shells at home. Look, I think for Drogheda, it's probably they're looking at this as a game to pick up a bit of form again, but it's not going to be easy. And to be honest, it's probably two sides that tactically set up very similarly. Two sides that are both defensively very strong. So to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of them boring 0-0 games between Drogs and Galway. Especially both of them losing a bit of firepower. Obviously, Douglas Taylor's gone out. Drogheda, the Galway have lost Moses Dwyer. Honest to God, I think this is one of them games that has a dreary either 0-0 or 1-0 written all over it. It's one of them games that I wouldn't particularly be looking at going, that's something I'd sit down and watch if I wasn't watching Pats. I gotta go with a draw for this one, realistically.
I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Colonel, what's your thoughts ahead of this game?
My thoughts on this game between Drogheda and Galway United. I think this will be a very interesting game. Both teams obviously trying to get back on good form. I mean, Galway United are still trying to live life without Moses Dyer, and Malcolm Shaw is the next big thing now to step it up now, which he will. Drogheda obviously are in the title race in third, so they would want to get back to winning ways after losing their previous game. So it wouldn't be surprising if Galway United turn up and cause a shock to Drogheda, despite that it's not easy playing against Drogheda, because Drogheda always brings the fire, and they always bring the effort and determination. But I think at the moment, from the way that I'm seeing it, it wouldn't be surprising if it is a draw. But I think Galway United, have a little upset to cause. So I think a Galway United win for me.
Interesting. I'll just get a little stat in there for the viewers that Galway have actually only won one of their last 5. I believe that came against Cork City, because of course it did. And so that is that will be an interesting one to see how this game goes. I honestly think it's a hard one to predict. Anyway, we'll move on to the next one, and that is Derry City against Waterford. So Derry are one of those in-form teams in the league right now. They're absolutely on fire against the Waterford side, again, with just one in their last 5. So surely we only see a Derry win, but this is the greatest league in the world. Who knows what could happen? Everything LOI, what do you expect from this one?
Yeah, look, at obviously Derry are going to be looking to continue on the run of form they're in at the moment. They're going to be looking at it the way of they're at home. It's a long trip for Waterford. Let's be realistic, all the way up to the Brandywell. It could be quite a hostile ground at times as well. Look, and as you said, like, I would be back in the Derry win, but Waterford do seem to be one of these teams this season that they do seem to be surprising a lot of teams. As I said, they only beat Bows not so long ago. They've picked up draws against Shells, against Galway. They came to Richmond Park, equalised late on as well. Got a draw out of that. So I actually wouldn't fully put it past Waterford nicking a 1-0. If Derry really aren't at the races here, nicking a 1-0 win away. As I said, like they do seem to be that team that they're gonna dodge relegation because they're picking up points here in games you probably wouldn't expect them to. And they're picking up points in games that Cork and Sligo aren't. So I might throw a bit of a curveball out here. I'd say a 1-0 Waterford win.
Yeah, fair, totally fair. Thanks very much. It's hard to see anything but a Derry.
John.
Gav Maleshke Lakarja, excuse me, my friends. Sorry about that. I again left, ran out of connection. Unfortunately, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, you can hear you. Yeah.
Hello. No.
Yeah.
You hear me, Grant? Apologies, lads. Sorry about that. Hello. Okay. No, that's Cornell. Did we get to you on that game? Derry Watford.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did. Yeah, you
perfect.
did. Yeah.
Perfect. That's ideal. Right. Next game up is St. Pat's against Bows. I think for me anyway, the main talking point from this game is, would a loss here for St. Pat's put pressure on Stephen Kenny potentially losing his job? You don't like to talk about sacking managers. It's never a nice thing to have to talk about, but it's something that can't be necessarily ruled out. Lads, I'll go to Cornell there first because I think I've messed up the order, but we'll just stick to this order that we're going now. Cornell, what's your what are you thinking ahead of this Pats Bows game?
My thinking towards this is I think St. Pat's need to go into this game believing that they can go on and beat Bohemians, but because that Bohemians are in amazing form and in wicked form, then it's very, very hard to put it past Bohemians, to be honest, because of the quality and standard that they are playing this season. St. Pat's obviously haven't been in very good form. They're in sixth place, and that's not the position where they want to be. We all expected them to be higher up in the table, but it's not meant to be. Bohemians right now are going into this game with full of belief now. You're seeing Tierney doing well. You're seeing Denvoy playing well, Dale Rooney playing well, and obviously James Clark doing his thing as well too. So it will be very difficult to put it past Bohemians. So I think Bohemians will come out all guns blazing. Obviously, I think we'll see the debut of James Taylor. I think James Taylor will definitely start scoring goals for Bohemians now, and I think it wouldn't be surprising if James Taylor goes on and scores his first goal against St. Pat's. But I think if St. Pat's don't go on and win this game and they don't go and cause an absolute upset towards Bohemians, I think Stephen Kenny will be out of a job, and I think the board is really cannot be giving him any more chances to put it right. He's got to deliver. He's got to show that he is the right man to really lead St. Pat's to finish higher up in the table. You can't be losing games and then you're not showing him what you want. So for me personally, I just wouldn't be surprised if Bohemians actually go on and win this game.
That's a big claim from Cornell right there. That he does think Stephen Kenny will be out of a job potentially if he doesn't improve quite fast. Thank you so much, Cornell.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Right. Everything LOI, what's your thoughts from a St. Pat's perspective ahead of this one?
I suppose on the Kenny thing, there's obviously been a lot of talk about people saying, "Oh, Kenny be out with job and all that." The realistic thing though is Pats actually can't afford to sack Kenny, whether we like it or not. Kenny's still has 5 years left. I think, or sorry, 4.5 years left of a contract that's worth like well over £1 million. Financially, it wouldn't be viable for the club to get rid of Kenny at this point in time. So the only option would be that he himself decides to walk. Look, in terms of the game itself, it's probably the worst team we could be playing at the moment. I know you could probably say Rovers, but Rovers, I know they got a win against Waterford, but aren't exactly playing the greatest at the moment. Still picking up points, of course, but I think it's probably the worst game we could be playing at the moment. Our worst team we could be playing at the moment. Bows, I can't really see anything else bar Bows hopping off us, to be honest. Obviously, yeah, they did draw against Sligo, but they're in great form at the moment as a team. They seem to just have the better of us this season, which it has been a rarity in recent years. To be fair, Pats do seem to be, over the past 3 or 4 years, have usually got the better of Bows in these games, but it looks like the Tides have turned at Bows. They really should be going into this game with a lot of confidence that they're going to get something out of this. From a Pats perspective, it's hard to know what they expect with Pats. I don't have much belief in them going into this game. You never know, they might turn up. Maybe this is event. I've been saying it all season, and that's why it's kind of, I'm kind of almost sick of saying it, that this could be the turning point for Pats. Maybe we'll turn around. But look, if you got a draw out of this game, it'd probably be a good result going into Europe. Then we can just stop worrying about the league for a couple of weeks. But yeah, like, my heart says hopefully Pats get a draw, but realistically, I can't see anything else bar Bows hopping off Pats 2 or 3-0, in all honesty.
Right. Yeah. It's a sad state when your club is struggling so much that that's the kind of predictions you have to make. But I can definitely relate to it at the moment. Yeah, and I suppose the only thing you'd worry for Pats is now the Bows have a proper striker. I mean, Paul B was telling us earlier how the problem has been a lack of clinicality up front. So if a proper striker now like James Taylor could be a worry for Pats. But thank you for the insight as well on Stephen Kenny. It's not possible for him to leave. I didn't realise he had such a long contract. I knew it would be obviously a fair amount of money to get him out, but yeah, maybe it wasn't the wisest thing to offer him such a long contract. But Stephen Kenny could easily turn things around as well, so who knows. Lads, this is actually our final game we're going to cover tonight because it's the last on the roster. We cover every game here at LOITalk. It's Sligo Rovers against Shamrock Rovers, the Rovers derby. This is actually Saturday night, by the way, for anyone interested in watching. Sligo are making great use of the loan market so far in the transfer window. So could they cause an upset? Just a fun fact: Sligo are the only team other than Bohemians who have actually beat Shamrock Rovers this season. So who knows? And I suppose Rovers have essentially won the league, if we're being honest. But where do they need to strengthen in transfer window ahead of their European campaign if they're looking ahead? And also to seal this league, because look, nothing is won until it's mathematically won. Cornell, I go to you first there, man. So yeah, what's your thoughts?
My thoughts on this game, I can definitely see Shamrock Rovers winning this game with the wicked form that they're in at the moment. The inform of 16-year-old Michael Noonan and of course Graham Burke, who's on fire. I think we could definitely see the new signing John McGovern make his debut tomorrow for Shamrock Rovers and link up with the likes of Burke and Jack Byrne. Obviously, I believe that with all open hearts, or Aaron Greeny and Rory Gaffney. So I wouldn't rule that out as yet. But I think Sligo Rovers are starting to gain a little bit of form after they've gone through a lot of criticism and scrutiny of what they've gone through so far, and talks of the John Russell probably potentially being sacked. But look, Shamrock Rovers, like I've said, are the team that no one doesn't want to be playing right now because of the situation that they are in now. They are first in the League of Ireland. They want to win their fifth consecutive League of Ireland title, and they will go on and the title is let's just say it's actually theirs. In regardless of strengthening, I think if Shamrock Rovers need to strengthen, I mean their front line is definitely one of them that they need to strengthen, which they have done that. Just to take the pressure off Michael Noonan because the reliance is on him right now. And then you've got obviously, Gaffney to play his part, Greeny to play his part, and then of course, Noonan to play his part as well. So I mean, you could look at that. Maybe another striker possibly to be added in there. Maybe another central midfield because I think since Poom has actually left, they haven't really replaced him as such. But, when you see the performances from Danny Grant, Matt Healy's just been in absolute wicked form, for Shamrock Rovers. And he's been, the most player that's people's talking about. But I think going into Europe, they need to strengthen that back line because Adam Matthews, who came on a free, is out injured. They need a centre back to link up with Lopez at the back because if they don't find the solution at that back line, there's going to be problems. Their right back position, I think they need to bring in a right back. So I think if they can add a right back and they can add a centre back into their fold, I think especially they need to replace Neil Ferrugia as well, who was very crucial to them before he went to Barnsley. So I think if they can add a right back and a centre back and the left back, I think they'll be fine. So I think definitely those type of additions, I think that Shamrock Rovers needs to add. But I think for me, this is a Shamrock Rovers win against the local Rovers.
Do you not think that Shamrock Rovers have sufficiently replaced Neil Ferrugia with Danny Grant?
I think I'm not saying that Danny Grant is not a fantastic, replacement for Neil Ferrugia. I think Danny Grant does deserve to be playing at left wing back. Of course, yes, you got to try the other starting 11 and see what position suits them. Are they suited to play as a left wing back, or are they just suited to play as a winger or a central attacking midfielder? Like we all know, obviously that Danny Grant is used to playing as a right midfielder, and that's his position. But then, as the season is going by, your manager / your head coach will want to know what other positions can you play besides playing as a right midfielder? Can you play as a left wing back? Can you play as a right wing back? All these things Stephen Bradley's going to think on. Yes, I think, and don't rule out, Danny Grant playing on that left side and say, let him go forward, let him do that. Or probably trying to play Matt Healy playing there, but Healy's more used to playing in that midfield role. So, I wouldn't rule out Danny Grant right now, but I think with the form that Danny Grant's in, I mean, why not? Let's not try that. But it wouldn't be surprising if Stephen Bradley actually tries and adds to that left flank and let's just wait and see. But I think not ruling out Danny Grant playing on that left wing side.
Is he on?
Yeah. John? John? His connection's frozen.
Oh, God.
Oh, my days. Oh, God, John. It's probably the connection where he is.
Everything LOI, if you don't mind, we'll... Yeah.
Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Oh, good, yeah. Yeah, I am. I suppose then.
Sorry, we'll round it off. Yeah.
Yeah, looking at, I suppose, Sligo and then Rovers in that game. Like, as you said, Sligo could cause an upset. At the end of the day, they did beat them earlier in the season in the showgrounds. And look, it would be a statement win for Sligo, especially with Cork now starting to breathe down the neck. If Sligo did get a win out of this, and let's be realistic, Rovers at this point in the season can't afford to drop points. They've given themselves enough gap that if they lost in the showgrounds, it wouldn't be the end of the world. Now, obviously, you're talking about it's definitely going to be a massive challenge for Sligo to beat Rovers considering they are the champions elect at this moment of time. But it could be a statement win for Sligo if they do manage to get 3 points out of this. In terms of where Rovers can strengthen, I do have to agree with Cornell. I think in terms of striker, of course, Michael Newman's flying at the moment. You have Greenberg up front, but there's a lot of age there as well. Aaron Green's getting on, Rory Gaffney's getting on, and the back line as well. I think we saw the other night against Bows that like Pico Lopez, he is an all-time great in the League of Ireland, but he is getting on. I think they do definitely need to bring in one or two more senior centre-backs into that back line. And to be honest, like, considering how they're playing at the moment, you like, besides Europe, you wouldn't even say they need that in the league. But I think if they get suitable replacements, two more senior centre-backs at the back, they get another senior striker up front, kind of, you're talking kind of mid to late 20s, someone that's kind of in their prime, I suppose, and bring them in to go alongside Michael Newman. And let's be realistic, I can't really see anybody pushing Rovers off the throne for the next couple of years. We could soon become like the Bundesliga lads if Rovers can really strengthen now. But yeah, obviously they'll be looking at this game probably more so with eyes on Europe and the cup game as well. I think the cup game is coming up not this Sunday, but the Sunday after as well. So yeah.
Right, perfect. Thank you so much, lads, for your contributions. Absolutely fantastic. Lads, I just wanted to thank you both for your you devoted a lot of time to us there, almost 2 hours. So thank you both a lot for your contributions. I'd just like to apologise personally and on my own, take full responsibility for my cultiness, as we'll call it. It's not been ideal, but we've got through the episode anyway. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe for more. We are gonna, work to try and improve the software as we grow in the future. And I really hope we can get the likes of Andrew, Everything LOI, and Cornell back on in the future, lads. It's always such a pleasure. Do you have any closing words before we head off?
Yes, I just want to say to everybody, to all the Irish fans, everybody, all the League of Ireland fans, thank you very much for having me on the show and welcoming me on the show. It's an absolute honor for me to be talking League of Ireland and passing my knowledgeism and my passion for the League of Ireland football and everything else, onto the show and inspiring the next generation of podcasters to come on as well and to expand the channel. So I want to say thank you everyone for tuning in, and this is the beginning and the true start for the League of Ireland Talk podcast show to really rise up the table.
Yeah, that's about it. Of course, lads, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
Enjoyable time talking football as always. And yeah, that's about it.
And I just want to give you a little plug there. You can follow Everything LOI and Everything Pats on TikTok, Instagram. I think you're on Twitter as well. X. Yep. You're on everything, lads, I think, to be fair to you. So please, I really couldn't, even if you're not a Pats fan, I couldn't encourage you more to drop the two lads a follow, because they are really doing great things for the League of Ireland scene at the moment. Absolutely unreal. So please be sure to give them a follow and retweet all their stuff. We'll leave it off there. So lads, thank you so much for joining us in this episode of LOITalk. We'll be back again next week. Thanks again to Dave Connell, Everything LOI, Brewman Cornell, and our good friend Andrew Lanigan. Absolute pleasure, lads. Thank you so much for watching. Slán go forward.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.